The arrival of the prison ships. The sky over Earth darkened, but it wasn't because of clouds. Giant shadows stretched across the land, blocking out the sun. People stopped in their tracks, staring up with wide eyes. Above them floated massive alien ships, larger than any building, bigger than any mountain. They weren't here to visit. They were here to conquer. It all started a week before. Strange signals had been picked up by Earth's satellites. Scientists at first thought it was just space noise, but soon they realized it was a message. And it wasn't friendly. The message came from a powerful alien race known as the Zorath Empire. They were ancient, advanced, and ruthless. The message was short and clear. Earth, you have defied us. Prepare for punishment. At first, people didn't believe it. It sounded like something out of a sci-fi movie. But when the sky turned dark, everyone knew it was real. News channels around the world went into panic mode. Reporters stood under the shadow of the ships, their voices shaking as they described the scene. Governments tried to calm people down, but even the leaders didn't know what to do. The ships were too big, too powerful. Military jets were sent up to investigate, but they were like flies buzzing around a giant. Then, without warning, the ships opened. Huge ramps lowered from the ships to the ground. But instead of soldiers or weapons coming out, there was something even stranger. The inside of the ships was visible, and it was terrifying. Jagged landscapes of sharp rocks, rivers of boiling liquid, forests filled with monstrous creatures. It was like each ship held a nightmare world inside it. A new message came from the Zorath, broadcasted to every screen on Earth. These are your new homes. You will enter. You will survive, if you can. This is the price of your defiance. The world froze. The aliens weren't here to enslave humanity. They were here to punish it. These ships were prisons, designed to break the human spirit. The Zorath thought that by trapping humans in these harsh environments, they would force Earth into submission. For a few moments, there was silence. People stared at the ships, fear in their hearts. No one moved. No one knew what to do. But then, something unexpected happened. In New York, a man named Jake Carter stepped forward. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a scientist. He was just a construction worker with a backpack and a smile on his face. He looked up at the giant ship, then turned to the cameras filming him. This is supposed to scare us. Jake laughed. Looks like a challenge to me. Before anyone could stop him, Jake walked up the ramp and disappeared into the ship. For a few seconds, the world held its breath. Then more people followed. A group of hikers from Colorado, thrill seekers from Australia, even an old woman from Tokyo who claimed, "I've survived worse." One by one, people started entering the ships, not with fear, but with excitement. The Zorath, watching from their command centers in space, were confused. This wasn't how things were supposed to go. On other planets, their prison ships had caused fear, chaos, and surrender. But humans were different. As more and more people entered the ships, videos began to surface online. Footage from inside showed humans treating the dangerous environments like an extreme adventure. A group was seen rock climbing the jagged cliffs inside one ship, laughing as they dodged falling rocks. Another video showed a team swimming in the boiling rivers, having figured out that with the right suits, the heat wasn't lethal. It was just like a hot tub. Social media exploded with hashtags like #AlienVacation and #ZorathResort. People were sharing tips on how to survive and even enjoy the alien environments. What was supposed to be a punishment turned into the biggest adventure Earth had ever seen. Back on Earth, governments were stunned. The military didn't know whether to stop people or let them go. Scientists were baffled by humanity's reaction. But the people, they were loving it. Travel companies even started offering extreme vacation packages to the ships, calling them the ultimate escape rooms. The Zorath watched in disbelief. Their plan had completely failed. Instead of breaking the human spirit, they had awakened something they didn't understand. the human love for challenge. As night fell, the ship still loomed over Earth, but the fear was gone. Instead, the world buzzed with excitement and stories of new adventures. Humanity wasn't just surviving the alien punishment, they were thriving in it. And somewhere, deep in space, the leaders of the Zorath Empire realized their mistake. They had underestimated humanity. But by the time they figured it out, it was already too late. Humanity's bold move. The Zorath commanders stared at their screens in stunned silence. On planets before Earth, their prison ships had caused terror. Civilizations crumbled. Entire species surrendered. But here, on this strange blue planet, humans were laughing. High above Earth, in the cold steel halls of the Zorath flagship Borax Wrath, Commander Xelfar clenched his claws around the edge of the command table. His eyes twitched as he replayed the footage. Humans scaling razor-sharp cliffs, diving into toxic rivers, and, unbelievably, roasting marshmallows over volcanic vents. The translator confirmed the sounds coming from their mouths. They were calling this a vacation. This isn't possible. Xelfar hissed, his voice sharp like broken glass. His second-in-command, Vornax, shifted uncomfortably beside him. "They should be screaming by now," Vornax whispered. "Why aren't they screaming?" But Earth's surface was alive with something far worse than screams. Excitement. Back on Earth, things had gone from strange to downright surreal. It wasn't just thrill-seekers entering the ships now. Entire families were lining up, treating the alien vessels like they were amusement parks. The media, which had started with fear-filled headlines like Earth's Doom Descends, now ran stories titled Top 10 Alien Vacation Spots and How to Book Your Trip to Zorath's Wild Side. Jake Carter, the construction worker who'd been the first to step inside, was now a global celebrity. His videos from inside the ship had gone viral, showing him building a makeshift cabin on the edge of a toxic waterfall. In one clip, he grinned at the camera, holding a mug of coffee while deadly alien creatures roared in the background. "Day 3 in the alien death ship," he said, winking. "The coffee's terrible, but the view, unbeatable." His fearless attitude became a symbol for humanity's response. Soon, other explorers started sharing their own adventures, turning what the Zorath intended as prisons into humanity's playgrounds. But this wasn't just about fun. The humans were learning. Fast. Inside the ships, scientists started studying the alien tech. Engineers began dismantling parts of the ships, reverse engineering weapons and tools. Survivalists mapped out the dangerous landscapes, turning them into strategic strongholds. The humans didn't just survive the Zorath punishment. They were adapting. Meanwhile, in the alien command center, Commander Xelfar was losing control. They're breeding in there," Vornax stuttered, pointing at the latest footage. Families were setting up camps. Children were playing games in what was supposed to be a deadly forest of razor vines. A group of humans even turned an alien acid pit into a public hot spring. Xelfar slammed his fist onto the table, causing the room to tremble. "They think this is a game," he growled. "Let's show them it's not." The next day, the ships changed. The Zorath activated new traps. The gravity inside the ships shifted unpredictably, turning floors into walls. Temperatures swung from freezing cold to burning heat within minutes. New creatures, far more deadly than before, were released from hidden chambers. It was supposed to be the final blow. No species had ever survived this level of punishment. But humans, they didn't just survive. They thrived. Jake Carter's next video showed him laughing as the gravity flipped sideways, causing him to walk on what used to be the wall. They turned up the difficulty. He chuckled, strapping himself to a makeshift harness. But hey, that's just more fun for us. Another clip showed a team of humans facing off against one of the Zorath's deadliest creatures, a massive spiked beast with glowing red eyes. Instead of running, the humans tamed it. The next video showed the beast being ridden like a horse, with the caption, "New pet, We're calling him Fluffy. The Zorath Empire's strongest weapons were becoming toys in the hands of humans. The alien leaders were panicking. They had seen species resist before, but this was something different. "Commander," Vornax whispered, his voice shaking, "they're not just resisting. They're enjoying it." And as the Zorath scrambled to regain control, humanity was already planning its next move. Because the humans had realized something powerful. These prison ships weren't cages. They were opportunities. The final blow came when a message was broadcast from Earth, not a plea for mercy, but a challenge. Jake Carter stood in front of the camera, the alien landscape behind him glowing with danger. But he wasn't scared. He was smiling. "To the Zorath Empire," he said, leaning closer to the lens. "Your prison ships. They're nice. Real cozy. But we've got a question for you." He paused, letting the tension build. "When are you sending more?" The message echoed across the galaxy, reaching alien civilizations far beyond Earth. And as the Zorath watched, realizing their mistake, the humans were already preparing for the next adventure. Because Earth wasn't just a rebellious planet anymore. It was the most dangerous species in the galaxy. And they were just getting started. The aliens strike back. Commander Xelfar had never felt fear before. He was Zorath, a species bred for conquest, masters of over 1,000 star systems. Fear was for the weak. But as he watched the humans on Earth turn his meticulously designed prison ships into vacation resorts, something unfamiliar twisted in his chest. It wasn't just fear. It was humiliation. The Zorath Empire didn't lose. They had crushed civilizations that were older, stronger, and more advanced than Earth. Their prison ships had broken the wills of species with psychic powers, advanced weaponry, and superior technology. But humans weren't playing by the rules. On his flagship, Vorax's Wrath, Selthar's claws dug into the metal command console as footage rolled across the screens. One showed a group of humans skydiving off the jagged cliffs of the prison world, laughing as they narrowly avoided the acid pools below. Another showed families setting up picnic blankets next to lava flows. The final insult. A video from Earth's global network showing a group of humans hosting a barbecue inside one of the most dangerous zones on the prison ship. They were flipping burgers while alien creatures snarled in the background, kept at bay by makeshift fences. The video ended with one of the humans raising a beer to the camera, grinning from ear to ear. "Thanks for the hospitality, Zorath. Send more ships." Selthar couldn't take it anymore. "They think this is a joke," he growled, his voice low and dangerous. "Let's remind them who's in charge." Operation Extinction was launched the next day. The Zorath had been holding back. The initial punishment ships were designed to break spirits, not wipe out civilizations. But now, Selthar wasn't interested in submission. He wanted to erase humanity from existence. He wanted Earth to be a warning to the rest of the galaxy. New orders were sent to the prison ships. Release the apex predators, creatures that had wiped out entire ecosystems on other worlds, beasts that fed on fear itself. Activate the atmospheric collapsers, devices that could rip the oxygen from the air and replace it with poisonous gases. Deploy the reality warpers, experimental weapons that could twist the very fabric of time and space, turning the ships into chaotic nightmares where nothing made sense. The goal was simple: make Earth uninhabitable. But as the new wave of terror descended, something strange happened. The humans didn't run. They fought back. In one of the prison ships, deep inside a jungle where the trees whispered with alien voices and the ground pulsed with something alive, a small group of humans stood their ground. They weren't soldiers. They were scientists, engineers, and survivalists, and they had a plan. When the apex predators were released, towering, multi-limbed horrors with teeth like obsidian, they weren't met with screams. They were met with traps, spiked pits, electrified nets, and improvised weapons made from alien technology. The humans had turned the environment against the creatures. Within hours, The hunters became the hunted. Meanwhile, in another ship, where the atmospheric collapsers were poisoning the air, human engineers hacked into the alien systems. They rerouted the gas flow, sending it back into the Zorath-controlled sections of the ship. The poisonous clouds meant to choke humans now drifted through the alien corridors, killing the invaders instead. But the real surprise came with the reality warpers. The Zorath had expected humans to lose their minds when faced with shifting landscapes and time loops. But instead of breaking down, humans adapted. They thrived in the chaos, turning the unpredictable environments into an advantage. One video surfaced of a human team using the time loops to practice their strategies over and over, perfecting their moves like gamers grinding levels in a video game. Every loop made them faster, smarter, deadlier. From his command ship, Selphar watched in horror as his plan unraveled. "They're winning," Vornax whispered, disbelief in his voice. "No," Selphar snarled, slamming his fist onto the console. "This isn't possible." But the truth was clear. The harder the Zorath pushed, the stronger the humans became. Then the final humiliation came. The humans didn't just survive the Zorath's second attack, they took over the prison ships. Using hacked alien technology, they disabled the Zorath's control systems. Ship by ship, humans began to commandeer the vessels, turning what were meant to be symbols of punishment into powerful war machines. And then, humanity sent a message back. On every Zorath channel, across every frequency in the galaxy, the same message played. It showed Jake Carter, standing on the bridge of one of the captured ships, now rebranded with the human flag. Behind him, human crews worked the controls, smiling and laughing. To the Zorath Empire, Jake said, his voice calm but dripping with confidence, "We appreciate the ships. Really, we do. But we think they look better under new management." He leaned forward, grinning. "Next time you send a punishment fleet, make sure they know how to fight. Because we're coming for you now." The message ended with the human flag waving proudly. And the words, "Earth, vacation's over. Now it's payback time." In the cold, dark command center of Vorax's wrath, Selphar felt something he had never felt before. Defeat. And across the galaxy, species who had once feared the Zorath Empire began to whisper a new name in awe and fear. Humanity. They weren't just survivors. They were the new conquerors. The human spirit unleashed. The Zorath Empire had made one fatal mistake. They thought humanity's greatest strength was their technology. They believed crushing Earth's cities, disabling their satellites, and unleashing monsters would shatter human resistance. But they were wrong. It wasn't humanity's weapons that made them dangerous. It was their spirit. Far above Earth, the once mighty prison ships now drifted under human control. The alien corridors that once echoed with screams were filled with laughter and the clatter of human ingenuity. Engineers from all over the world worked together, stripping down alien tech and rebuilding it better. In the heart of one of the ships, now renamed the Voyager, Jake Carter stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. He wasn't a soldier, but now he was leading the charge. Around him, people from all walks of life, scientists, doctors, mechanics, even teenagers with nothing but curiosity, worked like they'd been born for this. The Zorath thought they had sent punishment, but what they'd really sent was a challenge. And humans loved challenges. Across Earth, the world had changed overnight. What was supposed to be the greatest disaster in human history had become the greatest adventure. Entire industries had shifted focus. Tech companies collaborated with governments to reverse engineer alien devices. Mechanics in small towns were turning alien scrap into hoverbikes. Kids in garages were hacking Zorath tech, posting tutorials online titled "How to Build Your Own Plasma Rifle," with stuff from your kitchen. Even Earth's old divisions began to fade. Countries that had been rivals for centuries now shared resources and knowledge, united by a common purpose: show the galaxy what humans were made of. The Zorath, watching from afar, couldn't comprehend what was happening. On every other planet they conquered, fear spread like wildfire. But Earth turned fear into fuel. Instead of collapsing, humanity had become stronger. Instead of hiding, they had taken the fight to the stars. And the galaxy was watching. In distant corners of the universe, other alien civilizations, species that had once feared the Zoreth, began to take notice. They tuned into human broadcasts, watching the insane footage being beamed across space. Humans wrestling with apex predators and turning them into pets. Families vacationing on the hostile prison worlds, turning deadly environments into holiday destinations. Engineers building spacecrafts from Zoreth wreckage, launching them into the stars with reckless excitement. The message was clear: humans don't break. They adapt. They evolve. And when you push them too far, they push back harder. But humanity wasn't just surviving. They were starting to dream bigger. Inside the Voyager, a council of humans gathered. There were no politicians here, no generals, just regular people who had risen to the occasion. They stood around a holographic projection of the galaxy, marking points of interest. "We've got their ships," Jake said, pointing at the fleet. "We've got their tech. But you know what we don't have?" The room was silent. "We don't have their homeworld." There was a pause. Then someone in the back chuckled. And that chuckle turned into laughter. Because the idea wasn't crazy anymore. It was possible. The Zoreth homeworld, Zoreth Prime, had never been touched by war. It was the heart of their empire, a place of unimaginable power and security. But now, for the first time in history, it was under threat. From a species that the Zoreth had once considered primitive. And Earth wasn't alone. Alien species across the galaxy, inspired by humanity's boldness, began to rise. They contacted Earth, offering alliances, technology, and resources. Planets that had once bowed to the Zoreth now stood tall, emboldened by humanity's refusal to submit. The galaxy was no longer a place of fear. It was a place of hope. But humanity didn't stop there. They began broadcasting messages not just to the Zoreth, but to everyone. "We're coming, not to conquer, but to explore, to learn, to connect. But if you come at us with chains, we'll break them. If you send monsters, we'll tame them. If you send war, we'll send it back, tenfold." The messages were bold, fearless, and unapologetic. And the galaxy listened. Meanwhile, the Zoreth leadership crumbled. Their empire, once unshakable, was now filled with fear and doubt. Their generals questioned their strategies. Their soldiers hesitated on the battlefield, because they all knew the truth. You can't defeat a species that refuses to be defeated. And humans had made one thing clear: they weren't just fighting to survive. They were fighting to thrive. As the first human-led fleet prepared to leave Earth, Jake Carter stood on the deck of the Voyager, looking out at the stars. The prison ship that had been meant to crush humanity's spirit was now the flagship of Earth's first interstellar fleet. Behind him, the Earth shone bright and blue, a symbol of resilience and defiance. In front of him, the galaxy waited. Jake smiled. "Let's show them what humans are really made of." And with that, humanity's journey into the stars began, not as victims, not as rebels, but as the most unstoppable force the galaxy had ever seen. Turning the tables. The Zoreth Empire had ruled the galaxy for over 10,000 years, but it only took 6 months for humanity to turn their empire into a joke. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. The prison ships that were supposed to crush Earth had become floating cities under human control. The monstrous creatures designed to torment humans were now pets, mounts, and even companions in bizarre Earth alien wildlife sanctuaries. The death traps. They were now tourist attractions. But humans weren't just satisfied with turning prisons into playgrounds. They wanted more. And now they had the ships, the technology, and the attitude to take it. The first move came when the humans hijacked the Zoreth communication network. It started with a simple broadcast. Across every Zorath-controlled world, screens flickered. Command centers, military outposts, even civilian marketplaces suddenly went dark, only to light up again with one face staring back. Jake Carter, the same man who had stepped onto the first prison ship, the face of Earth's defiance, now grinned at billions of aliens across the galaxy. He wasn't wearing military armor or some official uniform. He wore a plain t-shirt that read, "I went to an alien death ship, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt." "Hey there, Zorath," Jake said, leaning casually against a control panel. "Remember us? The primitive species you tried to punish." He paused, letting the words sink in. "Well, we liked your ship so much, we decided to keep them." The camera zoomed out to reveal a fleet of Zorath warships behind him, under human control. "And now," Jake's grin widened, "we're coming to visit." Panic spread through the Zorath Empire like wildfire. Worlds that had once been confident in their protection under the Empire's rule now trembled. Military leaders scrambled to prepare for the human threat, but no one knew how to fight them. Because humans didn't fight like anyone else. They didn't just bring war. They brought chaos. The first human strike wasn't on a military target. It was on the Zorath luxury moon, Valora Prime, a vacation paradise reserved for the Empire's elites. It was a symbol of Zorath power and arrogance, a place untouched by conflict for centuries. The humans didn't attack with bombs or lasers. They landed, and they threw a party. When the Zorath authorities arrived, expecting resistance, they found humans dancing in the crystal gardens, swimming in the lakes of liquid sapphire, and setting up food stalls with earth delicacies. A group of humans even hosted a barbecue on the Emperor's private beach, flipping burgers next to confused alien diplomats. One Zorath official tried to demand their surrender. Jake Carter handed him a hot dog. "Relax," Jake said, sunglasses glinting under the alien sun. "We're just here to have a good time." The message was clear: this isn't your galaxy anymore. But humans weren't just about making a statement. They were strategic. While the galaxy was distracted by their antics on Valora Prime, human engineers hacked into Zorath military networks, disabling entire fleets before they could even mobilize. Zorath's supply chains were sabotaged, their resources redirected to human-controlled territories. The humans had turned the Zorath's own empire into a weapon against itself. Meanwhile, the galaxy watched in awe and inspiration. Species that had been under Zorath rule for centuries began to rise up. Seeing humans not just survive, but thrive under Zorath oppression, sparked rebellions across countless worlds. Where once the Zorath flag flew, now banners of resistance were raised. And at the heart of it all was Earth, the small blue planet that had gone from a backwater world to the center of a galactic revolution. But the final, most humiliating blow came when humans set their sights on Zorath Prime itself. The Zorath homeworld had never been touched by enemy forces. Its defenses were the most advanced in the galaxy. Entire fleets had been built to protect it. But humans didn't launch a traditional invasion. They showed up uninvited. The fleet of human-controlled Zorath ships entered orbit without firing a single shot. Alarms blared across the planet, but no weapons were launched. The Zorath military was paralyzed, unsure how to react to an enemy that wasn't acting like an enemy. Then, as the Zorath leadership watched in horror, the humans broadcasted their arrival. Every screen on Zorath Prime lit up with the same image: Jake Carter standing on the bridge of the Voyager, holding a vacation brochure. "Hey Zorath Prime," he said cheerfully. "We heard this place was nice this time of year. Thought we'd stop by, take in the sights, maybe grab some souvenirs." Behind him, humans could be seen lounging in alien command chairs, sipping drinks with little umbrellas in them. Some were playing alien instruments, while others were taking selfies with confused Zorath prisoners. "We're not here to conquer," Jake continued. "We're here to let you know. This is what happens when you mess with Earth." And then, just as suddenly as they arrived, the humans left. No shots fired. No cities destroyed. just a message left behind. We're watching, and we'll be back when we feel like it. The Zorath Empire was shattered, not by war, but by humiliation. Across the galaxy, humanity wasn't seen as just another species. They were seen as a force of nature, unpredictable, unstoppable, and most importantly, unafraid. They didn't just turn the tables on the Zorath. They flipped the whole game. And now, the galaxy belonged to them. Humanity's bold response. The Zorath Council Chamber was built to intimidate. Every surface shimmered with polished black stone, and a dome overhead displayed holographic stars, symbols of the Empire's endless dominion. But today, that dome flickered, and the stars faded to static. The council members shifted uneasily in their seats, their usual air of authority dimmed by weeks of mounting losses. The humans had turned their prison ships into fortresses, their weapons into tools, and their punishment into a joke. And now, the once unshakable Zorath Empire was waiting for an answer. The galaxy held its breath. Species across countless star systems tuned in to watch. They knew humanity had done the impossible, humiliated the Empire. But the real question was, what would humanity do next? In the vastness of space, a lone human fleet hovered just beyond Zorath Prime's defensive line. The Zorath commanders had expected bombardment, a violent storm of retaliation. They had prepared for war. But what arrived wasn't an attack. It was a message. On every Zorath screen, from command centers to civilian marketplaces, a new broadcast began. The image of Jake Carter filled the displays, his face lit by the faint glow of a nearby star. He wasn't wearing armor or medals, just the same old jacket he'd worn when he first stepped into the prison ships. But his voice carried more weight than a fleet of warships. To the leaders of the Zorath Empire, Jake began, his tone calm and steady. You sent us your worst, hoping we'd crumble. You wanted to show the galaxy that Earth was weak. But instead, you showed them something else. He leaned closer to the camera, his eyes narrowing. You showed them that when humans are pushed, we push back harder. You showed them that no matter how advanced you think you are, you can't break what won't bend. And you showed them that we're not just survivors. He paused, letting the silence hang heavy. We're contenders. The Zorath Council members bristled, their claws tapping nervously on the polished stone table. Jake's words weren't loud, but they carried a quiet confidence that unnerved them more than any shout. I'm not here to beg, Jake continued. I'm not here to threaten. I'm here to tell you what's coming. He held up a small, sleek device, a piece of reverse-engineered Zorath tech. See this? It's yours. Was yours. We figured out how it works. And that's just the start. We're learning faster than you can imagine. We got your ships, your weapons, your data. You tried to punish us, and we turned it into progress. You tried to break us, and we turned it into fuel. Jake set the device down with a soft click. You think you're the pinnacle of the galaxy. You're not. You're just another empire that got comfortable. And when comfort meets determination, comfort always loses. On planets under Zorath rule, the broadcast spread like wildfire. Aliens who had spent lifetimes under the Empire's thumb watched as this small, once unknown species stood up to their oppressors. Hope flickered where there had only been fear. Jake wasn't just speaking to the Zorath. He was speaking to the galaxy. To every species out there who's ever been told to stay in line, who's ever been punished for wanting more. Watch closely, because Earth isn't just fighting for itself. We're fighting for the future. And if you stand with us, we'll show the galaxy what that future can look like. As the broadcast ended, the Zorath Council chamber erupted in debate. Some members demanded immediate retaliation. Others argued for negotiations. But beneath the surface of their arguments, a deeper fear lingered. The humans weren't bluffing. And worse, they weren't alone anymore. In the days that followed, more alien species began to contact Earth. The humans' message of defiance had sparked movements across the stars. Minor uprisings became major rebellions. Zorath garrisons were abandoned, their soldiers overwhelmed by local forces emboldened by Earth's example. The Zorath Empire, once a symbol of unchallenged dominance, was cracking under the weight of its own arrogance. And at the center of it all, Earth wasn't just responding to the galaxy's call. It was leading the charge. The galaxy learns a lesson. The galaxy had once feared the Zorath Empire. For 10,000 years, their name was spoken in hushed tones. Their fleets, their technologies, their domination, all of it was the standard by which power was measured. Not anymore. Now, when species spoke of power, they spoke of Earth. Across the stars, the remnants of the Zorath Empire clung to their shrinking territory. Their military campaigns had all but collapsed, their vast fleet shattered by uprisings they couldn't contain. But it wasn't just the weapons or the rebellions that spelled their end. It was the idea that humans had sparked. On a once subjugated world deep in Zorath space, the capital square was alive with celebration. A towering statue of a Zorath general had been pulled down, replaced by a simple banner that read, "Freedom." In the crowd, an elder of the Karnath race, a species that had lived under Zorath rule for centuries, raised her voice. For generations, we believed resistance was impossible, that no one could stand against them. She turned to a young Karnath child at her side, smiling. But then we saw Earth. We saw a species who refused to bow. They showed us that no matter how strong the chains, there is always a way to break them. The human fleet didn't conquer Zorath Prime. They didn't need to. Instead, a single ship arrived in orbit. The Voyager, the same vessel that had once been a Zorath prison ship. It was flanked by ships of every shape and size. Fleets from liberated worlds, from species that had once been enemies, all now united under a single cause. Humanity didn't need to land troops or fire a single shot. The message was clear. The Zorath weren't in charge anymore. They weren't even in the conversation. In the Galactic Council chamber, an ancient space station that had once been a symbol of Zorath's dominance, representatives from across the galaxy gathered for the first time without Zorath overseers. The humans stood alongside them, not as rulers, but as equals. Jake Carter, now an ambassador rather than a rebel, spoke simply. "We don't want an empire. We don't want to dominate. All we ever wanted was to be left alone to grow, to thrive. When you attacked us, you made us fight. When you tried to break us, you made us stronger. But now we have the chance to build something better." Across the galaxy, this new alliance, this galactic community, began to reshape what was possible. Species that had been divided found common ground. Resources once hoarded by the Zorath were shared. Technologies once used for oppression became tools for exploration and understanding. And at the heart of it all was the lesson humanity had taught. Strength isn't about how many worlds you can conquer. It's about how many worlds you can inspire. The Zorath faded into obscurity. Their once proud empire became a footnote in galactic history, a cautionary tale told to future generations. But humanity's name lived on, not just as survivors, not just as fighters, but as the ones who proved that even in the darkest hour, hope can ignite a revolution. And as Earth's first explorers ventured deeper into the unknown, carrying their spirit of defiance and unity, they left behind a galaxy forever changed. Because the greatest weapon humanity ever wielded wasn't their ingenuity or their courage. It was their unbreakable spirit.